All right, so last clip you saw, I was gonna go ahead and dig those holes for the coop rebuild, and went to get my auger, earthquake auger here, gas powered, and wouldn't start. So that was yesterday. Let's see if we can figure out what the issue was. Start with the spark plug because it was not doing anything, at least that I could tell. So I'm thinking maybe that might be your issue. So see if I can get you in a spot where you can see it and I can see it. Don't know how that's going to work. All right. Well, if I'm reading this correctly, that means I have spark, which is good. Let's try something else. Welcome back. So, in full disclosure, it's been about a week since I've been playing with this thing. Things got in the way, weather got nice, so I decided it was garden time. And in true homestead fashion, this fell down on the list and I haven't been back. Part of that also is I don't know really anything about them. I'm not a small engine person. I think I mentioned that before. I'd like to be. I'd like to know more about this so that I can fix things like this and at least have some sense of what I'm doing. So we're going to work on this a little bit more today. I have a couple more things I want to check, things that I've looked at, videos online that I felt were helpful for basics. So we're going to check that and go from there. Last thing I did was pull off spark plug. I did check for spark. I did have spark. So that, I guess, eliminates a few things. So now we're going to take off the cover here, check carb stuff, and see if there's anything obvious where I feel like I'm possibly missing something or have an issue. All right, so I got it to turn over, started. Used a little starting fluid. That worked. I did notice halfway through that my the positive had come out of that. I don't know if that was related. I know everything was connected before. I don't have a real good way to film that, but a little bit of starting fluid, shot of that, and started up for the split second. So now on to the next possibility. All right, so we got spark. Starting fluid works. I'm looking at the two lines here. Now when I pump the bulb, obviously I see movement. However, that's the return. So I'm wondering if I look down in there, I don't know how well that's coming through. Am I getting fuel in the lower line, which is the one that is taking it to the carb in the engine? And I can't tell. So when I press the bulb, the fuel is shooting back into this for the return. I'm going to have to research and see if that's right or not. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take this filter housing off. I may take the carb off and just look. I'm going to guess. I can't really see in here real well. This one is the return that I just pulled out in a mess of. It's working. I can see that. I can't tell if this is doing anything. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. At least I can move it around a little bit. And I may need to look down in the tank and see if that's working. All right, so I don't feel anything dripping, so that's good. I would assume there's nothing leaking out of that. I don't see any fuel, anything. I don't know. So maybe that is, I mean, that would make sense. That's an issue. If nothing is getting past this or even coming in, then obviously it's not going to get into the engine. So I'm going to take these hoses out and see if we can at least pull that out and see what we see. Not that I know what I'm looking at, but hey, we'll try it. So I know I keep saying I'm not an expert, but even I know that doesn't look right. So that is the intake, the main one. And that is completely, I don't even know if it's broken through, if it's just a mess and throwing crap back into the tank. But either way, that's not supposed to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and clean that out. I don't really like that that's got crud in it, and I can't really see it enough to know, but I think that's gonna be our issue. So we're gonna pull that back out, get some new fuel line, and see if that fixes our problem. All right, so I checked with my good friends at Google, and every description I had said, take the fitting off, release the fitting with the pliers. Well, there's no fitting. I can tell you that. Now, so this is the end of the carburetor. This is the one that is obviously in the worst shape. This, to me, looks like it just presses on. I don't see any way that it's anything else. There's nothing else there. Whoopsie. Okay, so we're gonna cut that. It's gotta come off anyway. I want to see if I can see anything in there that tells me how it is connecting. Or something else. And I don't. Okay. So we're gonna have to come up with something else. And for those wondering, yes, my work area is a wheelbarrow. I had this leaning against it and realized that it actually keeps everything in one spot. I can't lose anything. So yeah, this is how we do it here. And it works. All right, there we are all assembled, or reassembled rather. The new line, can't really see it very well in that shot, but it does go down as far as I can into the tank. Again, if it's not the right length, worst thing that happens is I can't have a empty tank and still have the motor run, which is fine. I use this relatively infrequently. That looks good to me. Definitely more pressure with the bulb. I shouldn't say definitely. There is more pressure with the bulb. At least it feels firm. I did not notice anything before. I can't notice anything now because this clear, I can't see what it's doing. But we're going to start it up and we are going to see if that did it, or is this part one of a multi-part series. Let's see. All right, so I guess there's a part two to this saga. So put everything back together, didn't start. Throw in the starting fluid, works just fine. So I would guess, again, by the time this comes out, I probably will have figured it out, but I would guess that means I have a carb issue. So I am going to take the carb apart, take it off. I don't know how much I have to take off. I probably need to figure that out. I do have carb cleaner. I'm going to try that. If not, I would guess that the fuel is not getting inside. I did notice, and I don't know that this makes a difference. I don't feel like there's no fuel in here. If I look at that right now, and I've just pumped the heck out of this, there's nothing here. I would assume, could be very wrong, I would assume I should see here or on the other side of this fuel, if there's fuel in the system. There isn't. So I am going to go on a limb here and say I have a carb issue. Stay tuned. All right, so these clips, by the way, are days apart, so I don't remember what I said in the last one, so I apologize. This may be a total repeat. Fuel line is replaced. When I took it off the first time, when I took off the assembly, I noticed there was fuel making a mess everywhere. So I'm going to guess that it was getting, or maybe it was just sitting in there. I don't see anything in there now, so I kind of feel like it's not getting to the carb or getting past this. I'm gonna guess this must be some type of filter. I know there's a filter involved. A quick Google search did not tell me a whole lot, but that's not always surprising. So let's see. I would guess maybe there's a filter behind this, maybe something I can clean, or more parts. I would like to do the carb cleaner. I don't know if that's something that I have to take all this apart, because I still don't know if and how I can get this part off, or if I need to. We'll see. I will say that I see fuel here. Obviously the primer bulb had fuel. This I see fuel. This I see fuel. Back of this has got fuel. I don't see anything else wrong. I see fuel here. I don't see fuel beyond this. And whoops, a little avalanche there. And when I look into this top, I would assume that's an intake of some type. I see a lot of junk and dirt in there. This, is it a gasket? Is it a membrane? I don't know. Doesn't look terrible, but does it look clean? I don't know. So I think I have to take this whole thing off, and I think I need to put this in and clean it and then come back tomorrow. So let's see if we can get this apart and see what that does. All right, so let that soak overnight. Looks pretty good. Fair amount of junk came out in the container, so I'll assume that's right. Let's put it back on, see what we got. All right, so the good news is I took the carb, cleaned it, put it back together, and I don't have any leftover pieces. The bad news is this thing still doesn't start. So took a fair amount of time with the starting fluid to get it going, which I guess makes sense because everything was dried and cleaned out, nothing in there. So my next thought, again, I'm trying to avoid taking this in, is that fuel intake, if it had junk from the old fuel line in it, there is a, I guess we can't see there. I'll have to take it off. Hold on, let's take that off and I'll show you what I'm thinking. All right, so this intake, that area, I would assume there's a filter or something in there. But my thinking is that if this had a blockage of any type from all that crud that was in the fuel line before, that would prevent, obviously, anything from getting through. My reason for thinking that is that this thing's entirely dry. I just had, I don't know, started 2 or 3 times with starting fluid. There's not a drop anywhere. I would assume, again, I could be very wrong, but I would assume that there ought to be something out here, at least in here, and this thing is dry. If I pump this, I don't see anything. I mean, all I see is that every time I pump, it's going right back into the fuel line because it's not getting anywhere in here. So I think this somewhere in here is my issue. So let's take that apart and see if we can figure out where fuel is getting and where fuel is not getting. All right, so I took the screws out, but I haven't opened it up. So let's see. If we take off the bulb, obviously there's fuel in there. That looks fine to me. If I take that off, that has, there's fuel on the back of that. There's fuel on this little membrane. Fuel on the back of that. And then this. Okay, so there's fuel obviously getting in there. That's damp. Fuel on the front. That looks a little messy, but I did not take that off and clean that. I might need to do that. There's fuel on this. I don't know if there's supposed to be 2 of those. I should go back and look at the original video of that. Get to here. There's fuel here. Yep. So I'm thinking I need to look at the carb again. Because I can't really tell where fuel would be. I mean, this looks dry. Those are the screw holes. So I'm wondering if I need to do more for this, because the inside of that is dry. All right, I did it. 14 bucks on Amazon. Looks the same. This is good. There are, predictably, no directions whatsoever. I did change the spark. I don't need that. I do not have a fuel filter on my setup, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. Comes with new hose, replacement bulb. Hopefully, everything I need. If not, I don't know what my next plan is, because this was a weekend project that started 6 weeks ago, and I really need to get the auger set up so that I can do the other work, because I need that coupe done by winter, and we're almost to September. Let's see if this works. Alright, just a little hair dryer to warm these up. Got these on. I did reuse this little gasket because the one that came with it was very small holes that wasn't going to fit. And it's got a fuel filter now. I don't know if that's in the bottom of the tank. I don't see it, but it wasn't on the line when I pulled it out. So, get the rest of this hooked up and we'll be all set. So this is future me, at least for this video. Coming back in time to explain a few things before we watch what I did and why I had to do it. So this video is an interruption to the first video of the coupe rebuild. That project I started back in the middle of July. Got everything ready to go, went to dig the post holes, and the auger wouldn't work. So that went on to be a couple long weeks, actually almost 2 months, of diagnosing and trying to get the auger fixed. So in real time, this video spans about 6 or 7 weeks. That was between the fuel line problems, trying a few different fixes for the carb, eventually ordering and installing the new carburetor. The cool part for me is this is the first time I have ever diagnosed and fixed a small engine. I've done spark plugs, oil, lawnmower belts, and blades and all that, but that's about it. So this is a first for me. As a hobby farm, homestead-oriented person, that was kind of the excitement. Figuring this out, learning about it. It's always been on my list of things to learn to do, and never had the opportunity until now. Here we go. So there you have it, my first ever small engine repair. For those of you that do this regularly, I'm sure this was pretty obvious. For those of us that don't do it, or in my case have never done it, it was all new and it was pretty cool. Great skill, another one of those lifestyle goals, I guess we could say, accomplished. Something I want to do more of in the future, and based on some of the problems I have with equipment, I will be doing just that. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.